Good morning. Welcome back to exPat InSights. I'm your real host, Raju Mandhyan. But this morning on exPat InSights, I'm your guest, and we have a guest host, Mr. Chritian Clay Mendoza. And the subject matter is Insights on InSights. And Christian, the makeshift host today, is going to repeat the question.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Raju, welcome back to your show.
Okay.
Once again. We were talking about doing business in the Philippines, how easy it is, how difficult it is, what remains to be done. And there are a number of questions that many foreigners have. And I think that you have the insights, really.
Okay.
Insights on insights regarding this. So we were talking about how easy it is for a foreigner to open a business in the Philippines.
Okay.
We gave the example of India, where 20 years ago they simplified everything. All the red tape, all the bureaucracy was simplified. You go to one office, you register there, you do all the paperwork there, and you're done. How is it here in the Philippines? Has it improved? Is there room for more improvement? Give us, please, your experience.
All right. India, the architect of India's liberalization was the current Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and his sidekick that time, a gentleman called Chidambaram. Both of them very brilliant and both of them still very active. No? Currently, the government or the country is slightly challenged in terms of growth. No? But in the 90s, when these two guys were the musketeers, so to say, they did a good job and they have been very helpful to foreign direct investments in India. No? But I have no personal experience in putting up a business in India. I would assume that it is easier. I would assume that in the provinces of India or smaller cities of India where there is no technology reach, there would be the challenge. I would also assume that just like the Philippines, any business may have to register not just with the Securities and Exchange Commission, but may also have to pass through municipal, barangay, fire clearances, etc., labor departments. No? So my assumption would be, I'm not very sure, that this still takes a little bit of an effort in India today. My assumption would be, no? Because I know that they are still not completely fluid. But putting up a business, maybe banks can help you, and it can be fast-tracked because India was really hungry, gutum in the 90s, to have foreign investments like many countries today are. No? Chile and Cambodia and even Vietnam is doing that. Philippines, I do have some first-hand experience. In the 80s, it was a bit challenging. A foreigner can only own 40% till date, unless his income or their income is 100% generated from abroad. That means if it's a complete dollar earner, then they can own a larger percentage. Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, the registration in SEC and DTI has DTI and BOI, by the way. So these are three departments. SEC is where you register the business. BOI helps foreign direct investors. DTI provides domestic business, name registration, etc. But I think all three of them today do work at finishing the process in a very short time. Smaller businesses have a bigger challenge. Larger businesses where they fund the investments through banks, it's a shorter process. Certain provinces, I just heard a very young student talk about registering businesses in the provinces, and she said there are so many steps, no, that we are still working at downsizing them to maybe 10 to 15 steps. My assumption is that it will shorten in the coming years. Over the years, it has become easier. What is still difficult is the municipal, the barangay clearances. Those are challenging. BOI and DTI have a one-stop action center. You can go to them. They will give you all the requirements. They'll help you through. And it is advisable in the Philippines to hire a lawyer, a law firm, or an accounting firm who will hold your hand to get through the other knickknacks, to get the municipal, the barangays, etc.
Taxes and all those
things. The BIR registration.
Just for our viewers who are not familiar, our viewers who are expats and maybe not familiar with these terms, DTI is a Department of Trade and Industry here in the Philippines. The BOI depends on the DTI, and that's the Board of Investments. Department of Trade and Industry, and the Board of Investments. They've been doing a wonderful job in giving information. You ask the BOI, you're a foreign company owner, and you come to the BOI and you say, I'm interested in investing in the Philippines. This is my niche. This is what I do. The BOI is very, very good at giving them information, where to invest, who their possible partners can be. I think they've done a great job, and the 6.1 growth rate of 2012 is partially thanks to that. What's your opinion on this?
On the 6.1% growth, or the fact that BOI...
And on how the services have become more modern and how they help you to invest.
I have no idea who the current commissioner at BOI is. I did know people from the Bureau of Domestic Trade and DTI because I was a former chairman. And let's see if I remember, Senan Parlada, I think one of them, no, BDT. They're also working very hard to make it easy for businesses to register. No? And BOI is more of a marketing and a promotion arm rather than an actual hands-on implementer of law. So you're right. The investment, the growth of 6.1%, maybe it's not because of the ease of registering businesses or starting a business. I think it's more of trust, safety, and improved risk conditions in the Philippines because of what the impression President Aquino has created in the last 3-4 years. So that's my assumption. That's one. Because of him, because of his administration, because of his values, because of his drive to clean up the culture. No? I think that's the first driver. The second driver is, my belief is that water finds its own levels. If countries like Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, I don't know if Brunei, etc., have grown massively in the last decade, it is just but natural that some of the investments will move to the Philippines. Yeah? Philippines is challenged because of airways and roadways, because it's not connected by land to these countries. There are lesser number of flights. The airports are smaller. So these are real challenges which are on the agenda. I'm not sure, but I would assume these are on the agenda. So the growth is President's efforts. Growth is because of regional influences. And the growth is because BPO industry, which is the business process outsourcing, is a big driver. If not for that, I think our growth would be less. So these are my insights, that these three are the main drivers for the growth last year.
Wonderful, wonderful. And do you predict further growth this year?
Oh, I'll have to call up my Professor Bernie Villegas or Vic Abola. In fact, right now, they're having a session at the University of Asia Pacific, and I can't tell you. I'm not an economist, and I can't tell you if 6.1 will become 6.9 or 7.1, but I can only pray.
Very good.
All right,
very
so
good.
I can only hope. But I really, truly wish from my heart that it grows and that the average Juan de la Cruz's lifestyle well-being improves.
That's, I think, the bottom line and the most important driver in all of this. Now, tell us a little bit about Filipino workers. You had a company here. You probably employed a number of Filipino workers.
Yeah.
What is your experience with Filipino workers? How do they work? What were the good points? What were the points that need improvement? This is going to be something very interesting, not only for expats watching our show, but for Filipino workers themselves, to see how they are viewed.
Okay, I can compare Filipino workers to workers in India, workers in certain Asian countries, Vietnam to say, I would be able to compare, and Thailand maybe because it's quite similar, and to a little bit to Latin America and to the American worker. I don't know any other. So these are the ones. Now, the American culture is pretty direct. There's very little hierarchy. That means the boss and employee relationship is almost at par. So it's healthy, and yet you can't get much work done if you don't know how to manage people in the U.S. Hiring and firing in the U.S. is easier. You don't like somebody, you kick them out. In Latin America, certain countries, not all, not yours, I really don't know, it's a little more difficult. It's a little bit like Filipino culture, and there is that culture of mañana, same like Philippines. And hiring and firing is also tough in certain Latin American countries. The performance of the Latin American worker is probably a little bit behind the Filipino and the Asian worker, I would assume. Because I didn't employ, but I had some businesses I worked with. The Indian worker thinks long term, and the thing is, the Indian mindset has other investments, other avenues where they find or seek well-being. No? So to have them align to the corporate vision, etc., is a little more challenging in India than it is in the Philippines. No? Yeah? Because people think in India, the belief is that owners of companies, the board of directors, and the chairman, or whoever holds equity, is screaming. That is a belief, and it has to be worked upon. In the Philippines, it's a lot. 90+% of the companies are family-oriented. The culture, the way to run a company in the Philippines is to run it like a large family. That means the hierarchy levels are high. People treat elders, the people in power, with a lot more respect. And that can be a bane or a boon depending on the outlook of the managers. I would like to convert that into a boon rather than a bane, you know, because then your trust levels are high, yeah, your engagement levels are high, and so this is true also of the Thai and the Vietnamese people. The advantage that the Filipino has is communication, yeah,
English.
because the global community that goes and settles down in Thailand takes a while until they can work through the language and the culture.
Yes.
You know? It's easier to do that. So those are the plus points or the pro side of putting up businesses or running large businesses in the Philippines.
Indeed, here in the Philippines, there is a very communal sense.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, Raju, when people work for a corporation, it is like a family.
Yeah.
And they expect you to treat them as such. They expect you to, you know, you do outings and you do all these different things that I hadn't seen in other countries, and which I like and which I believe do make it more community-like. No, but are there any drawbacks to this, though?
Well, Clay, besides running this show, I also do I do mentoring, coaching, and training in cross-cultural communication and diversity. I've been blessed enough to be able to do that kind of work. And many a times, a foreign executive asked me, Raju, how do I get around? So here's what I tell them. I said, a Filipino employee or a Filipino person, they have many values that create their personality. One of them is what is known as maka-Diyos, maka-tao, maka-pamilya. No, these are very important. And so when a boss or the board of directors or new investors come in, they should understand that they can lead a company or a company's engagement levels or productivity based on these 3 or 4 powerful values. That means I can have my team be gung-ho in what I want to desire as long as it has this long-term high-purpose alignment. You know? Because most of us, like European countries or Western countries, we are very task-oriented. We're very results-based. No? That has its pros, but if you want to adapt to this culture, you need to understand these values and then create a results-based culture.
In more Anglo countries, more European countries, it is a good thing to be direct. To be to the point.
Yeah.
If there's something your employee is doing that you don't like, you tell them right then and there in no uncertain terms, and you expect them to correct it.
Yeah.
Does that work here in the Philippines? And if not, why?
Yeah. Okay. A large portion of the Filipino person, we are also what we call that the word paramdam. We feel, we are very intuitive, we are very sensitive, no? And that means we will know if you're uncomfortable. When I say we, of course, because I'm saying I'm thinking myself as a Filipino, like you are.
Very good.
So when we say sensitive, we are sensitive, and so directness is not an asset here. It's not an asset here. Context is the asset. No, that means the story is not important. The context, in what perspective why do you want me to do this? No? I need to know that. So in the Western countries, you said it's good. I'm not sure if it's good, but it is a fact there.
It's the way it is.
It's a fact there, no?
Yeah.
So a Western person or an Anglo person or a WASP, white Anglo-Saxon person, or a person from one of those task-oriented, performance-based culture comes in here, he must just create a context. He must recognize the sensitivity. In Thailand and Philippines, what is known as saving face value. So The way you provide feedback, the way you do corrective action, the way you delegate has to be context-based, has to be focused towards the human in the person you are helping improve.
A lot of Western expats often ask, what is this losing face all about? What does it mean? How do I avoid it? Can you give us some insights on what is losing face? And how do you make someone lose face? And how do you avoid it? A lot of expats are going to want to know, how do you avoid it? Because sometimes they fall into that trap without even knowing it. And they've insulted or offended someone, and they don't even know what they did or what they said. Tell us about that, Raju.
The second aspect of our culture, again, a culture keeps changing, by the way, Clay. It's not constant. It is what it is today. Tomorrow it may be something else because of the influence of BPO, because of lots of foreigners like you and me, half foreigners coming in. It changes a bit, no? So there are two aspects to it: individualistic and collectivist. No? Asian countries, many Asian countries, are very collectivist culture. That means we work in groups, we think in groups, and we progress in groups. Teams of 5, teams of 6, family. Remember, makapamilya, that means I'm family-oriented. While the Western culture is very individual, that means it's for me, I'm going to succeed, I made it, I did it on my own. Here, the culture is, we did it, it's for us, we're going to this together, sama-sama tayo, sabay-sabay tayo, diba, pakitulong, no? So these are the cultures. Now, losing face or saving face, when you scold an individual, like if you use harsh or strict words on an individual, you are slapping all 5, 7 of his little clique, his little team. So the way to resolve for a person from a direct or the task-related person is for him to isolate the challenge, have a one-on-one conversation, a dialogue, and remember that this culture is very intuitive. So you don't need to have a full-blasted disclosure of what's wrong. You can just sit and express it in terms of feelings. Right? How do you feel and how do you correct it? What are the opportunities here for growth? What are your ideas? And I guarantee you this, that us here, we will resolve it because we will see the big picture right away. No? And the resolution will come faster.
Wonderful, wonderful. That is a very, very important point. I think a lot of expats are going to thank you for this.
Well, they can call me for one-on-one coaching on this.
They can call you or they can read one of your books.
Well, in the books,
that topic right now.
We've got like about 5 minutes left.
In those 5 minutes, Raju is going to tell us about 3 books that he has authored. I'm sure very few of our viewers know about this, but I do want Raju to tell us about these books. The Heart of Public Speaking, The Heart of Humor, Pit Bulls and Entrepreneurs. Wonderful, wonderful titles. Please tell us a little bit more about your books, and can we buy them somewhere? Where can we purchase them?
I'm not selling them right here. For a fact, they're all in the bookstores, and you can call me or call this station if you want a large number of copies. So the first book is on public speaking, and it just doesn't talk about how to present to a business audience, but also how to influence people for good. So it's a little bit of public speaking moving into leadership. So it's like that. That's the kind of book it is. Very creative. It's not your usual do this thing. It's a lot of storytelling and a lot of motivation in there. And so examples and then how to do. But more on how to influence. That's the first book. And when I finished the first book, I realized that humor or happiness or laughter or lightness is very important in any relationships. The moment someone laughs, their trust levels go up. That means our neuroscience, we are so wired that laughter and happiness increases rapport and trust. So I wrote the book for that niche principle of rapport building and trust building using humor. The third one, quickly, is about, of course, starting of small businesses. It doesn't tell you whether you should go to BOI, DTI, or BDT, or SEC, but it tells you how to put together a plan. It tells you how to inspire yourself. It tells you how to be driven and get what you want to get in life.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Pit Bulls and Entrepreneurs.
There you have it. There you have it. 3 books by Raju, which I very much recommend that you purchase. Raju, I thank you for coming to your show this morning. It's been very, very insightful. It's been a pleasure having you here and being here with you.
Christian, it's been a pleasure for me because nobody's asked me about me in the last 3 years. I've been asking people about themselves, and here I am. So thank you for exposing me, which is maybe good, maybe not, but only the good Lord will know. So thank you for watching exPat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. I have been thus exposed in the last 40 minutes. Next week on exPat Insights, we'll have Mr. Rainier Gloor and Mrs. Margarita Gloor. Rainier will talk about the future of the pharma industry in the Philippines, and Margarita Gloor will talk about her NGO projects. They are both Swiss, and they also have been in this country for a very long time and are doing good. So good night, mabuhay, and have a great weekend. Christian, I want to explain why I say good night.
Please.
Many people ask me why, because as an Indian, I grew up in the English culture. In the English culture, you say that if you're going to see someone for the last time on that day, if you know that I'm not going to see you after lunch, then I must wish you good night.
Even if it's 9 a.m.?
Even if it's 9 a.m., but as long as I know I'm not going to see you after this.
Well, we're not sure about that, but good night, Raju.
But good night to my audience. I'm very sure that I won't see them. So good night, mabuhay. Have a great weekend. And that's Chritian Clay Mendoza. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. Thank you for watching exPat Insights.